Welcome to DowerChin.com. Today we're going to talk about drawing on the Surface Book. We're going to cover a bunch of different aspects about it. First, we're going to talk about the pens. So I have a couple of them here, and this is actually the Surface Pro 3 pen. And I have actually two pens that are for the Surface Pro 4 and the Surface Book. They use the same pen. This one is an aftermarket one, and this one came with the device. So first things first, we'll take a look at what the differences are. Well, actually, yeah, we'll look at the silver ones. Now you can see that the one on the Surface 4 Surface Book is actually a little bit taller. Also, there's a magnet on this one, so you notice it's actually kind of sticking to the metal part of this one. And the reason why is for this part, so it actually clasps onto the side of the clipboard or the screen side. And actually does a very good job of holding it too. So, what else can we see? The one thing is that the Pro 3 pen actually had two buttons on the top. And of course, there's the eraser side, which was only a button that launched one note. And you can see that if you look closely at the tips here, the tips are a little different. And in fact, the new one actually has a little bit smaller tip. And actually, there's almost like a two-part tip as opposed to the single kind of plastic piece here. And if you see closely at mine's kind of gotten impacted from use on the screen. The other thing here is that there is a button on this side, this flat side here. This is actually a button. So this acts as your right-click button. And then the top here is actually a little bit of a rubberized feel. So it actually is the eraser side, because you can use it as an eraser, as well as clicking it as a button to launch OneNote. And actually double clicking will launch Cortana. All right, so what else can we say? There is a LED hidden away on this side here. It was actually kind of hard to find originally because supposedly when you hold it down for a couple of seconds, it should illuminate and blink. And I was looking over here, but it was actually over here. So that's something to look for. They both use batteries. Now they both use quad A batteries. The Surface Pro 3 one unscrewed, the battery came out. Something very interesting to note is that the plus for the battery in the Surface Pro 3 goes down, and that is not the same for the new one. So let's screw this back on. And this one is a kind of a twist click and to pull out, and the plus is actually on top. So that's something you have to be very conscious of, because you can accidentally decide to put it this way and suddenly figure out why it does not work. So it goes back in, plus side up, and it has a notch on the side over here where this kind of goes in and then locks into place. So let's look at the pen there. The other thing about the pen is that the tip is replaceable on the new N-Trig pen. The thing about it is that the one that comes with the Surface Book does not have any tips. It doesn't have any tips. However, if you buy one as a replacement for about $60, you get this cool little package with 4 replacement tips. And the default one, I believe, over here is an HB tip, and which is kind of like this one here, the third one here. And they range in feel between 2H, HB, and B. And this little packaging also is a clip to pull out. So if you wanted to say take this one out, it's kind of a little tricky. You got to kind of hold it and yank it out. So there's a tip there. I can replace it, say, with this 2H one, for example. Stick it in, and just push it down. And there it is. And I'll stow this away for safekeeping so it doesn't roll away from me. All right. As you can see, tip-wise, notice how much bigger the tip is here. It's actually, the 2B one is much harder tip. It actually feels much more like some of the, actually feels more like the Wacom ones to me, actually. So it's a bit of a harder tip for the screen. So if you want a more harder feel, that's the one you go with. And this one being the HB side, they say that Microsoft claims that it feels more like a pencil on paper, and it is a bit more grippy than this one. So the thing about having like 2 pens is you can actually have 2 pens and they will work, and you can swap between them. And I picked the blue one just so it stands out between the one that it came with it. So, all right, what else can we talk about these things? Well, actually, the next thing to talk about is actually on the tablet itself. So let's turn the tablet on, and we'll talk about using it for drawing. So we'll turn this guy on here. Get the glare of my screens away. All right. And log in like so. And if I get rid of all my other stuff here, I don't need to see my Outlook. And we go to the Start menu here. Now, there's lots of stuff on here already that I loaded on, but the one app that's important for drawing is the Surface app here. Now, this is similar to the Surface Hub app, if you ever used that one on the Surface Pro 3. It actually is a similar type of app. Right now, the only customization that's offered, if you click on this little pencil thing here, is pressure sensitivity. So you can tweak it. So if you wanted to have a more softer feel, so there's not as much pressure required to create a harder line, you jack that up. Or if you want to go more pressure to create a softer, heavier line, you can do so as well. So you kind of tweak that to your liking, depending on how you want it to feel. I actually kind of like it this way. It's a little bit, you can go with a lighter to harder. So I kind of like it that way. Even the default's not too bad. So that's important. You should run this program. It actually was right on the Start menu when I turned on the Surface Book, and it's something that it lets you tweak that. Now, unfortunately, there is no settings to tweak the button here, so it's kind of unfortunate. It actually does act as a right click. So if you were to, but one thing I've always liked with the Wacoms was the ability to do a hover right click, and you can't really do it here. You sort of can, but you can see when I go over here, you see it. You see kind of a little circle, so it detects it, but it doesn't let me do it. So to do the right click, I gotta hold the button down and tap the screen in order for it to trigger a right click. So there's no hover click option, and I suppose it's something they can easily add via software update for this program. I know on the Surface Pro 3 there are options to change the buttons, so surprisingly that is not available for the version that comes right now. So hopefully they'll update that in the near future. All right, so what we're going to do now is we will talk about methods for using the tablet to draw. Obviously, it's a little bit different. There's no kickstand on this. So the first option, that's the obvious option, is to simply just undock it. Okay, so you use it like this. Now, unfortunately, with the tablet undocked, the keyboard is pretty much useless. It would have been really kind of cool if you can actually use this as a Bluetooth keyboard to continue working, but no such luck. It is pretty much out of the way. So you're going to have to resort to something else to use if you want to have buttons and something like that. So you have to resort to using a Bluetooth keyboard of some sort if you actually want to use this to draw and just lay it flat. Unfortunately, also because there is no kickstand, you're going to lay it flat. Nice thing about it is, just for handling it for drawing, say on the go, just in your hand, is the screen itself is surprisingly light. It's nice and big, and it actually is very light. So I'm going to launch Sketchbook Pro here just to get things ready. I'm going to do a new document, and all right, so I guess we're ready to go. So this is the first option of the obvious option for drawing is using the tablet this way. The other interesting thing is you could also flip this around and dock this like so, and then now you have it this way. Now the unfortunate part is that the dynamic hinge, it doesn't lock in place. So even if you wanted to draw this way, if you're going to be tapping hard, it's going to fall down, unfortunately. So there is no real good way to keep this standing up, which is unfortunate. It would be nice if we kind of keep it this way. So you're going to have to rely on something third party or something else to put back here, which is entirely possible. So what brings me to this? I found these online over at Amazon. These are PadPucks by a company called Artograph, and what they are just these gigantic vinyl pucks. And what's kind of cool about them is that they come in a pack of 4, like you see here. Get them out of the way. What's cool about them is that they can stack. And so you can set them up like this, for example, or if you want a little bit lower, like this. And what's really neat about that is I can use this for the Surface Book. So you can see that there's nice space here that's got nothing because I got the trackpad here, but there's nothing here. So, but you notice that they fit quite nicely in this spot here, which allows you to kind of put this down, and now you have it kind of at a comfortable angle to draw on. So now you have the ability to draw. Rest your hand on here. and go work away. Now you could probably get away with just one, but I think it kind of leans a little bit on the side there. I don't like that way that feels. So this I kind of for sake of equally balancing it out, I put two there. And of course, if you wanted to go shorter, you just go with two of them, and so it's not as high an angle. So it's kind of nice. Now, you could use other things. I tried looking at like rubber stoppers and those kind of things, but they're just too short. They actually like the rubber's tallest one that I found were about almost like this, and that's not very high. So it's kind of almost pointless because obviously the hinge comes up this way, and you're gonna flats like this, and a little bit like this isn't really gonna do a whole lot, and then you don't want anything cramming on the keys. So that's something to consider. So these are kind of nice. So you can put them over here, like I said, and rest it on, and you can do some work. So that's one way. That's one way to do it. Now, supposedly one way you can also try doing it is, I suppose you could try doing it tent-wise. The dynamic hinge, unfortunately, I wish it would go further, but this is about the most it'll go. It doesn't go flat. I suppose you can kind of do it this way if you wanted to, but I feel like I'm going to break the hinge, so I don't think I would not recommend doing it that way. So because there's no way to lock it in place. So all right, let's get things set up, and we will go and launch Sketchbook Pro and do some drawing. I'm going to darken the lights a little bit so that we can see it better and maybe change my angle. All right, before we get too far into drawing, one thing I wanted to show was just how close the pen tip is to the drawing surface. Now, if you ever used some tablets before, one of the things is that the glass tend to be a little bit thicker, and so you were just a little bit too far over the drawing surface, so things are always kind of lined up kind of funny. But if you notice right here, I hope you can see this better as well, is that I'm pretty much, I'm drawing, I'm here, I'm like right on the glass. I mean, right on the surface. I mean, there's very little. It's an amazing thinness but as far as the distance is concerned between the pen tip and the surface of the screen. It's really, really, I mean, it's right on it, which is amazing. So it's something that I wanted to call out. That's really kind of neat about this. I'll use the PadPucks to prop this up. Okay. So hopefully this visibility wise will be good. All right, so I'm gonna use let's see what's a good tool to use. I'll use the pen tool here, and we'll just go with some quick accuracy as far as like line stability and stuff. So I'm gonna hold my pen off a little bit. Now, palm rejection does work. You can put your palm right on it. I expect that's what I'm gonna do to rest it, and I'm gonna draw a line out this way, and we're going to moderate speed. Let me see, make the tip a little bit bigger here. Can I do it with this? No, I can't do it with this one. We'll use, can I do that with the pencil? Yeah, a little bit bigger pencil. So I use a drawing at this angle. So now my hand is resting on the screen, so there is pen rejection. So for some folks who hate to hover draw like I do, I like putting my hand on the screen. So the lines are pretty good. Vertical lines here. All right, so you see that the the lines are relatively straight as far as my hands are concerned. What's nice about some programs like Sketchbook Pro is that there is this steady stroke option. So with that turned on, you can get even straighter lines. Because this number over here, right now it's set at 10, which is not very much, allows you to, it gives like almost a little travel distance line to kind of help you make stable lines, which is really kind of nice. As you can see now, there are some little goof ups here. So once again, I'm using the eraser tip. So look at this. I'm using this tip. I flip it over. I can erase, which is really nice. It feels like a real eraser because it's got a little bit of roughness to it. And even the dreaded diagonal lines. Let's do this. I'm going to turn this off. Do the diagonal line test. If you can see that. There is a little bit of wiggle, just a little bit. That's one of those unavoidable things with these kind of pens. It's a little bit of wiggle. once again, something that can be dealt with, at least with like those steady stroke programs or the options like that for doing it. So it does have a little bit of wiggle on there. It's not horrendous, but it's there. It's gonna be something you have to get used to. Most you know, there's really nothing else out there that doesn't do this, at least a little bit. So it's very challenging in that sense. So now, well, let's talk about the pressure sensitivity side of it. Now, the big thing between the old N-Trig versus the new one is that the old one had only 256 levels of pressure. It sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. If you compare to Wacom's that had about 1024 or even more, the ones they have out now are 2048, which is quite a lot. So you get a lot of finesse in your lines. And this one actually supports 1024, which is a stark improvement over the previous one, and it feels a lot better. So you can go real light with the pencil, real light. You see me draw here. So you can go real light here, and then suddenly just press down, press down, press down, press down, press down, press down, and you get the some thickness there. So let me erase some of this stuff so you can see that a little bit better maybe here. So you go and you can go real light. Press. So you get that nice variability in the line. And of course, once again, using that surface application, you can tweak it. And even Sketchbook Pro has methods of tweaking that as well. So one of the other big challenges when you come to drawing on a tablet is, we'll just go with actually I'm going to go with a blue color here. Let me clear off this side over here. Is drawing thatching. So, or shading. So if I draw a circle here, one of the things you want to do is, if you want to do thatching for it, kind of the lines, and so you want to see, I can sort of do it well. There's going to be, but there are some parts where it doesn't pick up. It's one of the challenges with some of these drawing apparatuses is getting really tight lines or tight curves together, and that's probably no different with this, but it handles it a lot better than the previous N-Trig. It just tracks and feels better. And then if you wanted to choose a different feel for the stylus, this one I changed to that 2H one. It definitely feels a lot different. So once again, the eraser still works. I didn't have to pair this, by the way. The pairing part of it is only good if you wanted to do launching applications. The pen by itself works just fine. So I'll draw this circle here. I'll do something similar. I'm sort of lifting up too soon, I think, and I'm not putting enough pressure down. So it's able to do some, but this is one of the more challenging things that you would have to that you can try doing. But luckily there are ways of handling this, and for the most part, it does work quite nice. And of course, you can obviously zoom in to do the work a little better than that. So there you have it. So okay, that's what we're looking at for this drawing and pen work. The other thing, this is an i7 version, so obviously the i7 version has a bit more horsepower for you to play with. And so if I want to work on this layer, one of the things you might want to do is you might want to fill in part of the background. I'll choose like the airbrush and make a nice big brush here. Big brush. Make sure the opacity is good. Get some more color in there. So do that. So one of the fact that it's an i7 processor, it pretty much handles this part without much lag. So it was able to really keep up quite nicely with me going across this way. Doesn't feel problematic at all. It's able to keep up with me, so it's actually quite nice. But then once again, Sketchbook Pro is a really nice program. It doesn't have as much stuff going on. It's not like trying to compute watercolors and those things like that. But I'll look at some of that kind of stuff later. So there you have it, a look at Sketchbook Pro drawing on the Surface Book. There really isn't much lag. It actually handles it quite nicely. So we'll go to something else. We will launch Photoshop. Good old Photoshop. Let's take a look at Photoshop performance. If I can get my pen down here. All right. Get my buttons going. And so this is the latest Creative Cloud Photoshop 2015 release. All right, and in case you wonder what this is a program called Lazy Nezumi. It actually does a lot of interesting stuff with the pointer for like correction, for jitter, and those kind of things. It's a very cool little program. I'll talk about that at some other point, but it's something that you can use and turn on and off, and it works outside of Photoshop as well. So we won't be using that right now. So we'll do a new document, 7 by 5 inches, 300 DPI. Actually, no, let's go big. Let's go big. I know people have asked to go a little larger, and one of the problems with being in this mode is the keyboard behind does not work. So let's go. Let's see, 10,000, maybe 10,000 by 10,000. How's that sound? All right, so hit OK there. All right, so I'm at 16% zoom here. Let's zoom in a bit here. Get a little bit more. So I'm at, let's go back out to like 52%. All right, so I'll take the brush tool. I will choose one of these. So there's a 2B one here. Choose maybe like nice little dark blue color. And we'll just do some drawing real quick here. I'll put my hand on the screen, which is nice. Once again, palm rejection works. Now, Photoshop is funny. There's a bit of lag here. And I can't say if it's because of this drawing being so big. All right, maybe I was being a little too aggressive. Let's just go with 7 by 5 inches. Let's see if it behaves any better. Not really. So Photoshop right now, I'm not sure. Some people have complained about this too that I've seen online, where they said it doesn't perform as nicely. And indeed, it's a little on the pokey side. Just a little bit. It's unclear why. I'm surprised that it is doing that. But hopefully it's just maybe an optimization thing. So I'll just go with a standard brush here. Yeah, so there's a bit of lag in Photoshop. So some folks have complained about this. I'm not sure exactly why. I'll have to investigate it a little bit more. Hopefully it's just an optimization thing. The one thing about the screen you got to remember is that this is a 3000 by 2000 pixel screen, so it's quite large, a lot of pixel stuff. And notice that even though it is that large, Photoshop itself is now pretty touch friendly and has a good UI scaling, so that even at such a high resolution, things still look pretty good. So yeah, so I don't have much to say about Photoshop right now at this point, because unfortunately it seems kind of pokey. Definitely doesn't respond as fast as Sketchbook Pro right now, and it might be just something to do with Photoshop right now. I don't know. I'm hoping that's just the case, because this is it feels kind of weird, because it's a bit on the slight unresponsive side, and when it comes to drawing, it's going to make a big difference. So all right, then the last thing I want to do, we'll table Photoshop for now. I'll come back to it in another video. But right now, Photoshop, it seems like it just has some issues running on this. And I'll just maybe take a look at some forums to figure out if there's any settings that might be causing this type of thing. So the last thing I want to talk about real quick before leaving off on this video is good old OneNote. People always talk about, ask me about how it's like taking notes and stuff, and a new page over here, and we'll talk about taking notes. So one thing about using OneNote is nice. You can turn rulers on, and then you can start writing. So I'm going to tilt this because I take notes in a funny way. I have it on the side, but we'll take the notes here. So this is November. So once again, one of the hard things is that tight loops tend to be very difficult for any of these styluses. Anything I've ever used always have some slight difficulty with tight loops, and especially if you go small, like some people like to write little small, they might have some issues as well. But so it's not the 6th. All right, it's the 5th. 2014. Wow, where am I? Sorry, I'm not awake today. All right, so we're going to the drawing tools here. You can see you have drawing tools with this is the OneNote one that comes with the service, not the Office one. So it's a bit more simplified, which is okay. It actually works quite nicely. So small. But if bigger, zoom in. No, I can't zoom in. Sorry. Yeah, so nowadays I don't take much notes in meetings, because I'm not in meetings a lot anymore. I have a few, but not as much to take notes at rigorously. I'm not in class, so. But if you're doing class, I mean, obviously I'm going to change back to the 2B tip here, or the HB tip, so it's more like a pencil. The tip being a little bit smaller might help a little as well. Blue, for example. So if I was in a class and plotting diagrams, you know, if I was, sorry, I messed that circle up. I'm doing pie charts or something. So handwriting is always a challenge. My handwriting's terrible to begin with anyway, but as you can see, taking notes with OneNote, you can do crazy equations of some sort, plotting things, and the square roots of 3, 5, 1, those kind of things. I have to confess my math skills are not as good as they used to be. They weren't that great. They weren't that great to begin with, but you get the idea. You have the ability to write. So you can take notes, be able to highlight lines, and you can customize colors too. There are other colors in here if you want to do other things. Color this way, or use the tools here to do some more drawing. So OneNote works quite nicely with this. So that the pen is a very versatile, vital part of the Surface Book. A lot of folks don't realize that obviously the extra cost of having this device is you're paying for a touchscreen and you're paying for this pen. This is something that easily can cost anywhere up to $200 to $300, or even more for something this large with the pen. So that's something else you buy into. And the pen clasps on the side. It holds it quite nicely too. It's pretty sturdy. Now it doesn't mean it can't get knocked off. It can, but it does a good job of keeping it there. I haven't lost it yet. So there you have it. A look at OneNote, Sketchbook Pro, a little bit of Photoshop for some drawing experiences on here. We looked at the pens. If there's anything you want to see and something I did not cover in this video, please feel free to email me and subscribe and send me comments, and I'll do what I can to reply. So once again, thank you very much for watching. Have a good day.